Yeah, I'm going in the room, hon. So một đại thank you. Một đại thank you. Một đại thank you. Oh, you have to get cash for the thing. Check my wallet. Okay. What? What? You can. In my wallet. Don't you have some cash in yours? No, no, 我俾咗個女仔 downstairs. Because 我上次問咗，俾佢第二樣嘢 look, you have lots of other stuff to give her. The cycle is not so upbeat right now. Oh, well, she doesn't need to know. Give her, yeah, some, well, you want to give him the cantaloupe or you want to give him yeah, or like there's some pears, organic pears I have here, obey. Give him whatever you want to get. Yeah, but you can both on if you want, but just put that rice on top. Say that. Okay, when you pay those things. Well, doesn't matter. The Buddhas are around. Buddhas are listening. Huh? Baby. Oh, oh, it's lice. Poo poo. Poo poo don't come in and out, in and out. All right. In and out. Oh, I come in and I go out. I come in and I go out. Right? Oh, there's someone's going out. I'm going out. Can't even see it. I can see the double chin. Huh? Get your glass container if you want. I was going to use the John Tongs another one. You tell him. Huh? What, the soup? Mhm. I think it needs a bit of salt. I put some chips in it. Maybe you should put a bit of salt. Just tell people to put their own salt in. It's fine. Maybe they like depends what they eat with it. Hi,
Hi.
Alice.
Hi.
It was just like lower half, and I was like, I don't think.
Oh, sorry. Can you sit
No, there
here?
was someone. Well, there's someone from Japan I haven't met, and she's said that she would, join one day. It's really early for her. So when
Oh,
you're,
okay.
how's the ankle?
The knee.
The knee.
Yeah, it's not well. I have
You're,
a torn ACL, torn
yeah,
meniscus,
that
and
too. Okay.
both the lateral partially torn.
Gosh, you just
Yeah.
really did it. The full,
Yeah.
the full shish kebab. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And
I'm
so,
getting surgery in December, at the beginning of December.
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
And then right now with crutches, you're able to move around.
Yeah, I can also walk like a few steps like without crutches. It's
Okay.
just like my knee it's constantly like bend like in a weird position because the meniscus is torn, so I cannot straight or like bend completely the knee. So I'm like
Hmm.
limping.
Yeah. But is it in
Yeah.
pain normally? Like just kind of throughout the
It
day?
depends. There are some days that is really, really painful, and other than it's okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like it's up to the weather.
Yeah, that's
When it's
what
like
I
really
mean.
rainy and like humid,
That's what
it's
usually
really
affects
painful.
joints. Yeah, like
Yeah,
I've heard that when people,
yeah.
Vancouver isn't the greatest because, people would go to Victoria or Kelowna because it's drier and it
Oh,
was
okay.
easier for their joints.
Oh, I see.
That's why, yeah, a lot more retirees go to those places because the damp weather is,
Mm,
is hard, difficult
mm-hmm.
on the joints. But
Yeah.
okay, well, I'm glad you got a date in December, right?
I haven't yet.
Oh, okay.
She said like at the beginning of December, but I don't know the exact date.
When they, yeah,
Yeah.
when something comes up, but that's good. At least it's earlier, right?
Yeah, I have appointment again like in 10 days.
Yeah.
So I'm getting x-rays again, and yeah, and she's gonna let me know the exact date,
Okay. Okay.
yeah,
Well,
of
that is good
surgery.
because, yeah, I mean, I'm sure yours was fast tracked up, but it is good to hear that it's earlier than later because I
Yeah,
know
yeah,
some,
yeah.
um, yeah, some definitely some people have to wait for it. I've heard some with knee surgeries, they still have to wait a long time.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Well, in my case, it's I can't do anything. Like I can't walk, and so it's I feel
Yeah.
like it's a kind of like a urgent thing to
Yeah,
do.
yeah,
Like,
that is true. Yeah, you're not just like, just in a bit of pain. Hold on. The
yeah,
last class I've been having to let I don't know if
yeah, because I know
this,
people like can still do things like only with a torn ACL.
yep, yep.
Oh,
Hmm.
cute.
Yeah, that's the one that sometimes I'll be in she comes in and then she's like, oh, I want to go out. I'm like, okay. She doesn't understand. Obviously, I'm closing the door to have it a little quieter, but okay.
Yeah.
Well, Yuki, you want to say hi? Are you gonna lie down? Say hi to Alex. You want to? I don't know whether they can really see a screen. Sometimes my sister-in-law will call and then like call her name, and she'll look and she's like, someone's calling me. I recognize the voice, but I don't know. Like they don't obviously see this.
Yeah,
They don't
yeah,
smell you. So
yeah,
I don't think they get this is a really good idea. Like they don't have this idea that there's someone there on the
yeah,
screen, right? It's just like it doesn't seem real to them. So
yeah.
anyway. Okay. Well then, yep, you got a good spot to sit at.
Yeah,
And
I'm
okay.
actually I forgot I have the book that
The binder,
you,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yep.
the binder. I just have to grab it.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, are you staying there?
I totally forgot.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, that sounds great. All right. Well, you stay seated to do the three prostrations, but you can kind of just have that in
Yeah.
your mind that, or just do a little bow because that is still a prostration. You know, give thanks for the lineage's teachings that have come down through all the teachers, Mr. Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha. Mm. And you live fairly close to the studio, don't you?
No, not really.
Not really. Oh,
No,
okay.
I'm on commercial
Commercial,
at
you're close to
first.
there.
Yeah.
Okay. You're able to get things delivered, food wise.
Uh, sorry, say it again.
Oh, yeah, you're able to have things delivered food wise.
Oh, I thank God I have like a really nice friends and they just bring me grocery.
Oh, nice.
Or
Okay.
I go with them because I need
Oh,
to get out sometimes, like
yes.
for my
Oh,
mental
okay. All
health
right.
too.
That sounds great. Yeah, I do know kind of lucky in this time. where I do know a lot of people do deliveries, have things delivered to them.
Yeah.
But it's definitely nice for you to get out too. And I thought if you're close, I can definitely drop off anything if you ever
Oh,
need.
that's
If you
okay.
ever
No,
reach.
thank you. Thank you so
Yeah, I'm not that
much.
far. I'm like 9 and 35th. But
Oh, okay.
okay. Well then, yeah, let's turn to the offering the mandala. Like last week I had said, oh, we're half, well, yeah, we're class 6. So we'll do the second one in Tibetan, but this first one um we can do in English. All right. So here is the great earth, filled with the smell of incense, covered with a blanket of flowers, the great mountain, the 4 continents, bearing a jewel of the sun and moon. In my mind, I make them the paradise of a Buddha and offer it all to you. By this deed, may every living being experience the pure world. Idam Guru Ratnam Malakam Niratayami. And so the second one is refuge and the wish. And this one we'll do in Tibetan. And if you ever listen to the kind of the recordings, audio recordings, um, you'll notice that there's like a chant master. He's a person who starts. And then so he says the first word, Sangye, and then everyone joins in. So that's kind of how it usually works. So I will kind of take that role and you can just repeat in your head or you can join along. Sangye, Chudang, Soki, Choknam, La, Jamshu, Pardu, Dakni, Kapsu, Chi, Dakni, Jinyin, Gipe, Sunam, Ki, Drola, Panchir, Sangye, Jupar, Shok. 2 more times. Sangye, Chudang, Soki, Choknam, La, Jiangsu, Pardu, Dakni, Kapsu, Chi, Dakni, Jinyin, Gipe, Sunam, Ki, Drola, Panchir, Sangye, Drupar, Shok. Sangye, Chudang, Soki, Choknam, La, Jiangsu, Pardu, Dakni, Katsu, Chi, Dakni, Jinyin, Gipe, Sunam, Ki, Drola, Panchir, Sangye, Drupar, Shok. Mm, So that is great. It's kind of setting our intention. And I was gonna start with a meditation this class. So, yep, you can, yeah, before I kind of do a review and if you had any questions, let me take that. But I thought, yeah, it's a nice way to start today's class with a little meditation. So, yeah, come into your comfortable seat. And yeah, definitely move your knee, your leg as you need. Even lie down certain days if you find sitting up uncomfortable. Just the concern about lying down is a lot of people may fall asleep. That's kind of, but sitting the spine nice and tall so energy can rise upwards through the main channel. And then as you just check you're not leaning to the left or right, your shoulders are relaxed. And that's the hand position. There's a lot. Some of you may have heard of like different mudras. This one I'm going to offer, just place your right fingers over your left, and then just your tips of your thumbs slightly touch. You can kind of just rest it there. And this meditation position is nice because if you kind of fade out, then usually your thumbs kind of slip off from each other, the tips of your thumbs. So rest the tip of your tongue where the roof of your mouth meets the top of your teeth. Just gently check your chin, your neck. You don't want to be lifting it too far, so you're looking up, or you don't want to be tucking it in too much so that you're looking down. That if you're to look through the middle of your eyes, if you open them, you'd look out towards the imaginary horizon. You just soften between your eyebrows. forehead. And just say a nice hello as you check in with your breath. Hello to how you're feeling right now. Which you can usually tell just by checking how long or smooth your breath is, how long or short, how smooth or choppy your breath, how deep or shallow. Again, they say the breath is our bridge from our inner world to our outer, and that by shifting your breath, you can shift how you feel inside. So if you can, gently lengthening the inhale, lengthening the exhale. Trying to do so by expanding your belly and your back. You breathe in, tucking it in a bit more when you exhale. But you're using the bottom of your lungs. Which we don't normally use. That when you do, you get 4 to 8 cups more oxygen, prana, with each breath. And it's not easy to do when you're in pain, but this is what they say in yoga will help. If you can direct the breath to any part of your body that's not feeling good, that could use more energy. So this meditation that we're doing is called Tonglen, Tonglen. I think it's Tibetan. And basically you're helping remove the pain and discomfort from someone. So do think of someone who is in a bit of pain or discomfort. And obviously you can include yourself in this visualization, but at least someone else also. Could be a group of people, be a part of the world you've heard about that could use a little help. That's might be some physical suffering that they're feeling, or emotional, or mental, or spiritual, or combination. Often it is because our thoughts do affect our body, and our body affects our thoughts, feelings. And as you see this group or this person, one you're helping, I'll refer to, just see whatever pain that they're suffering is like a black cloud in their body. That you can just see this energy within them, causing them discomfort. And that you're going to help remove and release it. So just visualize your body now. Again, the main channel is along your spine. See like a reddish gold channel from your tailbone running along your spine right up to your neck, and the bottom of your head continues across the back, across the top, and ends right between your eyebrows. And between your eyebrows, there's a little diamond, small little diamond. They say representing wisdom. And you're going to see this little diamond move along this channel, across the top of your head, across the back, down your neck, along the spine, but just stopping at the heart, where there lies a little red rose, representing compassion. And as this diamond meets this rose, wisdom meets compassion, forms a really strong source of energy, like a little sun. Thing you see that black cloud of energy. And just bravely, on your inhale, draw it out of their nostrils, draw out their pain, their suffering. As you draw out more with each breath, you can see a little relief on them physically, in their face, in their body language. And you're gonna just condense this cloud of energy into a tiny black ball. And as it floats above you, you're going to draw it closer to your nostrils. As you're going to prepare to draw it into your chest, where that strong source of energy is. Wisdom and compassion. And though it might seem a little scary, black string. Your next deep inhale, draw it into your heart. Or like anything that falls near the sun, it just gets absorbed and transformed, melts. Just then doesn't affect you. And it disappears. That was hard to visualize. Maybe just give you a few moments of silence just to visualize it again. Maybe draw out any last bit of this black energy out of them or someone else. Dense into a ball. And draw it into your heart center, where it's just this transformed, transmuted, melts away. And finally, just take a look at the person you're helping. See a little outer smile relief in their body, their face, and lightness in their being. And then just to close off this meditation by just surrounding yourself and whoever you see with a big ball of golden light, and then just let it float off into the sky. Just tucking your chin, rounding your back, give your back a little stretch. Rub your palms so they're nice and warm. Cup them over any part of your body you want to bring a little energy, or just even over your eyes. Okay. And so that is meditation called Tonglen. And a fairly simple one, but one I was kind of introduced to early on. I don't know how long it exactly was, but you can always include yourself. Because and I want to start with that because uh, uh, well, you might have heard of this before. I definitely know it applies for depression. Maybe I've shared that my sister-in-law had been quite depressed and had to check herself into the hospital. And the antidote, the thing to help, someone that with that is usually to help others. So I do feel like it does apply for a lot of other things, that when we're in pain, one of the things is to help others. I think a logical basis, it makes sense because, when we're in pain, the unfortunate thing is all our energy, all our focus goes there, right? We feel it, we don't want to feel it, but it kind of is like a magnet. It forces you to feel it, right? So it's really draining. So by focusing on others, you kind of give a little shift away from that discomfort. And I know I can definitely agree. I was when I was in university, I was facing a little depression, which was odd. I was so happy I had moved out, and but yeah, it was the second year, and after I'd moved out, and I was just like super self-conscious, and then in a big house with 12 people, and suddenly starting to hide, uh, you know, hide back in my room. And the one thing I know that gave me relief, that really helped, was actually going to work. I had a part-time job at a grocery store as just a cashier clerk. You know, it's just right now at Safeway or something. You just are scanning the groceries, putting in a bag. At that time, I think more people were using cash. So with cash, but not super being there, and I guess my youth job, so working with people, and that was it. Just is me that when I see people, eh, you know, and it's when you smile a lot.
The connection. I can't hear you. I think your mic is off.
Yep. But was
Yeah,
that,
also like the connection was like not really good.
it wasn't very good, like before then,
No.
or?
No. Like just like the last minute. Like you
Oh,
were
okay,
talking
okay.
about like going to work
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then
going
it
to, I
kind of
know
like
all of a sudden
started
I just saw
jumping.
it, kind of, I saw that spiral and I wasn't sure whether it was you, but I think it's me. And that's why it
Oh,
kind of
okay.
just recycled. And then it, yeah, when it came back on, I was unmuted. But yeah, that's all I was at saying. I was just saying that I felt better going to work. I had a relief from feeling whatever I felt at that time. And so, yeah, I definitely agree with that saying. Antidote to your own pain is to help others. I remember reading Dalai Lama's biography, and part of the story, I'm sure it was a little while ago because he's still alive, but he was really, really sick, and a lot of monks, were really worried about his health and whether he was going to make it, and so they had all come and were praying for him. He couldn't even come out to say anything, um, but he made the recovery. And when he did, he obviously thanked all those who were praying for him. He believed that helped. And when they asked him, how was the pain? He said, oh, I didn't really feel it. I was just focusing on the suffering of all beings. And that's what I was thinking about, and how my pain is so minor compared to theirs. So yeah, for some reason that story stuck with me, even though I do know, you know, feeling things on a daily basis sometimes. Like, it's funny, just an hour ago, I woken up from a nap and I was just feeling kind of like sad, and I didn't know why, but like there was no reason, there's nothing, um, but it just did. And so yeah, I always like hearing thoughts like this. Um, that as a yoga teacher and as fellow yogis, I address you guys as, um, it is really good to remember that in yoga, they say our thoughts do affect our body. And I think we can all agree when last time you felt really nervous or upset, say even in pain, eh, you have corresponding other symptoms, like dry mouth, knot in your stomach, sweaty palms, increased heart rate, dry mouth. Like, we all agree, like when we're feeling stressed, hurt, angry, upset, it affects our body, right? So if we all seem to agree with that, then, you must realize that the opposite is true. The thoughts of joy and peace and happiness, um, being in love can help your body, you know. So, but this is where in Tibetan yoga, this was a new thought for me, that they said actually the highest thought, the thought that helps you the most, is actually this thought of helping others. Um, that uh, so now with every yoga class I start, I usually don't really do the tonglen, but I have people think of someone who's in pain and think of sharing whatever benefit that they hope to receive. Because our thoughts, according to yoga, draws more energy into our main channel. And that's what we're trying to do in yoga. We have like 72,000 channels in our body. And if we get more energy into our main channel, that's when we feel better. And so doing the poses and breathing does that. But the other way works too. Thinking of helping others will do that. Um, so, and this is one thing you could, I don't know if you have your phone with you, I'm not really kind of encouraging you to be on your phone as you hear this, but if you type in Dr. Emoto, Emoto, it's easy to kind of remember, you can do it later. You might see he's a Japanese medical researcher, um, who did this study, um, on water, and
Masaru?
his
Masaru.
Emoto. Sorry, did you say something else?
Yeah, it's Masaru
Yeah,
Imoto.
have you heard of him before?
No, no, no. I'm just Googling.
Oh, good, good, good.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I think it is. Yeah, you should, maybe there'll be some images, some. So basically what he did was he studied the effect of emotions and feelings on water.
Oh,
And so when there was, you know, lots of love, uh, peace, joy in water that he froze, when he looked at it in a microscope, it was these beautiful, symmetrical, crystalline structures, images. So that's what you might see. And then, they used like, I thought I heard one example was like the spit from someone who's really upset and angry. Um, used. I mean, I know some people like rock music, but they did that. Just angry words, swear words, spoken into water that they
yeah.
froze. And like you can probably guess, the images of the water is not symmetrical. It's kind of broken. And,
Yeah, I
you
can
know,
see it here.
yeah, you can see it, right? And
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah,
like,
there are some
yeah,
pictures of like, yeah, that's so
yeah.
interesting.
And then, like, I mean, the amazing, like, I mean, the thing is, okay, that it's just current corresponding to how thought affects something. But if you think about what we're made of, you know,
Yeah.
80% water, right?
Hmm.
So yeah, like I mean, when that thought that they say when you're angry, you're the one hurting yourself because yeah, we're the ones who are going to affect our whole chemistry, all our water molecules, right? So mm, yeah, this is, I guess, kind of like just different ways to see that what we've spoken about the past two classes was bodhicitta, you know, the wish to reach enlightenment part of it, but for the sake of all beings. And that part about wanting to do that to help all beings is like the key that they said you can't. Um, it's a lot easier to reach when you have that kind of rocket fuel like that, like you're wanting to help other people. Like you're not just doing it for yourself, you're doing it for others. I mean, I have two kids and I know personally, like I would work late at night, um, I wasn't an early bird, but I definitely work late at night and do things I probably wouldn't have done just for myself. Um, yeah, I remember when I first met my wife, and those 2 years I didn't really, I enjoyed my free time, and I still did when I had kids, but it was kind of like, oh, I know I gotta make time to do what I needed to do. So yeah, definitely helping others. So this is what my teacher would say that if you're experiencing suffering, one way to use it on the path, they said, is, um, if you're suffering, for example, I'm feeling sad, instead of just going, oh, I'm feeling sad, or even, okay, I will help someone just have the thought of helping someone who's not sad. He says to, you know, gather more karma is to think of that you're taking on the suffering for all beings. So that if I'm feeling sad, instead of going, oh, poor me, or why me, it'd be like, okay, I feel it. I'm gonna, you know, it's almost like that Tonglen practice. You're taking on this energy. So I'm taking on the sadness of other people. And, that way you're practicing all the time. Uh, and this works in the other way too, that if you're experiencing something really pleasureful, I kind of say eating something really delicious, seeing something really beautiful, um, experiencing something uh, uh, that just moves you in a really wonderful way. You, instead of just kind of going, wow, probably the default will be like, oh, that thing is making me feel this. Just think of like offering that wonderful feeling to all beings, that you are going to share it, dedicate it. And so, because last week we were talking about seeds, and how karma happens like through a thought. The little seed is planted. And what helps the seed grow, I've planted a lot of little garlic bulbs in the garden this past week. What will help some of them grow while others don't? Maybe some of them will have a bit more sun. Some of them are not maybe underneath a tree and they'll get a bit more rain. Maybe that part of the soil has a bit more fertilizer. So, helping something, a seed ripen is definitely having more karma power behind it. So, yeah, that's something I'll repeat again. If you're suffering, think of taking it on for other beings. And if you're experiencing something wonderful, think of sharing that. So, and that was what I had heard many times when, you know, they would talk in class about practicing all the time. That I always thought, oh, practicing would be like meditating more or reading or, studying, looking over the scriptures or your homework or something. And that is part of the practice. That's what monks and monasteries do. But the practice where you have actually more time is when you're not doing those things, when you're off doing other things or in between things, and you're with your thoughts and feelings. That actually is what the yoga practice is really about. That, when you're on the mat and you think you're practicing, you're actually almost practicing awareness, so that when you get off the mat and you go back out into the world, you're bringing that same level of mindfulness, awareness to how you feel and what you're thinking when you're with others doing other things. And it isn't easy. I mean, I can say for myself, it isn't. It's like it's easy to suddenly just think. Like I said, if someone says something to you that makes you feel good, it's because of that, what they said or them. Um, we, can be really mindful in yoga. It doesn't matter what your warrior pose looks like or your cat pose, your down dog. But when you're doing it in class and really mindful, you're like, okay, I'm checking, I'm not going too far, I'm breathing, and I'm adjusting if my body needs to. We don't always bring that same level of awareness. So Buddhism is saying, bring that same level of awareness to how you're feeling, what you're thinking, because every thought creates a seed, and your feelings, also do the same. So use that to help you accumulate merit, because um, to move forward in the path to be a Buddha does require a lot of karma, a lot of good karma. So that is what I had wanted to share. Um, in our teacher training, I shared something that I said, it's easier to practice in some ways if you're living in a monastery and ashram, because you think about it, like right now you require your friends to help bring you food and whatever, but in a monastery and ashram, all your necessities are there, right? Your shelter's there, food is there, probably either you're helping prepare it or somebody else is. You're kind of living in a little bit of a nice bubble where most of the people have the same values and are living under the same, I won't say rules, but they understanding as you. Um, so though people have said in monasteries there can still be fights and um, problems there. Uh, it's in a place where unlike here, maybe you could talk to someone in the street, they might not believe the same thing. If I've talked to a few friends and that aren't on this path, and it's quite normal for them to point their finger to blame the government or Donald Trump, other people, other countries, other things people are doing. Um, Blame, you could even be blaming you don't have enough time, don't have enough money. Like it is something that we kind of almost accept, you know. Um, we don't accept responsibility as what Buddhism is kind of telling you, like everything you create is supposedly coming from you, from the past. Yeah, it's not that same mind thought. Um, that when people are having suffering, which we all do, how are they coping with it? Well, a lot of times I have to say, a lot of us are trying to not feel it, trying to numb ourselves with, you know, drugs, alcohol, food. Say for myself that pain. Uh, Um, and yeah, that you probably can see examples where people will chase after things, money, relationships, physical objects, um, thinking that's what's going to make them happy. Thinking the happiness is in that object. That if I get that, that I'll feel good. Uh, and sometimes people do have the karma that it does feel good. How long? That's also up to their karma. Um, yeah, and that I'm sorry, dog there. Um, that in relationships, um, you may have, may not all, but it definitely happens. And I've been guilty of it myself, where we can blame our unhappiness on others um, more of the time than we might blame our happiness on them. Right? So yeah, it's again back to, I guess, that famous saying that life is suffering. So that is what I had kind of wanted to review. That last week we had also reviewed, what is the karma that suddenly pops up in your life? What determines which plane takes off first? And again, it was the object, a higher object, human versus an animal, parents versus, a stranger, um, someone who has already seen emptiness, um, an Arya, or someone who's already in Nirvana, an Arhat, versus even like your parents, they're actually a higher, um, or a Buddha. So it's definitely the level of the object and the intention. So, thought behind doing something um, definitely affects how the karma can ripen. So, one thing I did want to share this week that you might not have heard of is that if you do a karma, I'd say maybe the example is more doing something that wasn't a good karma, and you stop it from ripening. And it's good to know that you can, because, one of the laws of karma is that if you do an action, there will be a result. Or so this next thing is called what they call the four purifying forces, how to stop karma from ripening. So just think of something you might have done or thought about, because the thought is karma too, that you might consider not so nice. I can think about something now from yesterday. So the first thing to do, if you have, once you identify that, is the first force, they say the foundational force, is actually just to remember karma and emptiness. You know, that things, you know, work in this world because of karma, that things itself are empty. So they said it's just to have that realization first. That the second force is what they call intelligent regret. And this is where the Tibetans, I remember being told this over and over, that it's not feeling guilty. They said in Tibetan, there's actually not even a word for guilt. But it's just knowing that, okay, you know, my example, I said something, I think maybe to my wife that was a bit harsh. That wasn't a good thing to do. So, and if I remember karma, saying that might mean that's going to come back to me, right? So that's the second one, just having regret about it. And then that third force is the one of refraining. And that means that whatever you do, you're going to now make an intention of how long you're not going to do the same thing. So I had shared before about how, you know, there was time I was getting yelled at a lot. I felt I was. My wife or my older son, and, you know, sometimes I would yell back and I would feel regret. And so the third step meant like, okay, how long, well, can I just kind of promise, like, you know, agree not to do that again? And I have to admit, sometimes it was like a half day because I knew I'd be spending time with them. It could come up again. So I had to be realistic. It's not like, oh, I'm not going to do it for a week. I just knew it could happen in the evening. So, but it could be something for you that doesn't happen. And you might say, I won't do this for another week, a month. So whatever, just to make that promise in your mind that you're going to not do this again. And that means you're going to obviously be hyper aware that you're not going to do that. And the last one, last force is an antidote, you know, that they're saying to do something to counter this, usually not so good karma. And so that some of the examples was maybe to do some reading of the scripture, do some chanting, do some meditating. But they say the strongest antidote, the one that's the best, is to do a meditation on emptiness. That uh, you know, I think maybe we'll do that beginning of next class because I don't think we'll have time this class. But it would be, for example, just seeing someone that you either like or dislike, and just kind of logically playing through, you know, example, you like them, you know, okay, I like them, but does everyone else like them? You know, maybe you might kind of say yes off the top of your head, but kind of think, is there someone who doesn't like them? You know, and kind of just logically run it through. There's different ones, but that's one of them. So those are the four forces. And obviously, it's not something you, once you've done a few times, it can be something you run through quickly. But there's examples that, you know, a teacher was saying sometimes like a band of Tibetan teachers and students would be traveling, and then suddenly one of the teachers might stop the caravan and kind of do a few prostrations because they had a thought that they considered a bad karma that they wanted to purify. So, you know, so that's what I wanted to share. I mean,
So basically, you do something bad, and then you realize it, that you do
Hmm.
something bad, and then you
Hmm.
decided you're not gonna do it for like
Hmm. For
a
how
certain
long?
amount, for how
The
long,
time.
and
Hmm.
then you meditate for like not doing it again, or like for like you
Um,
meditate for like for your peace of mind, like how.
you're meditating more as almost like, meditating on emptiness is a really good karma,
Mm,
because that's like getting rid of like the root of suffering is ignorance, that we see things as, so that's why it's not meditating to make you feel better, it's meditating to kind
okay.
of like plant good seeds like that. By meditating on emptiness, you're, if you could do that every day, that can get you further along the path than,
Mm-hmm.
it's a donating money to the temple or something, that
Mm-hmm.
in terms of your own karma, uh, is really helpful to reach enlightenment. So yeah,
Okay.
so that's where, just chanting or reading a Buddhist book, um, will kind of counter the effect of the not so good thing that you did.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. Yeah. Yeah. So that's it. It's like the antidote. If I've heard what you were saying is not just for your really peace of mind. It can help, obviously, if you're really upset, but it's more meant to like, you know, you're pulling out the weed, but you're going to plant in something good in its
Okay.
place. Yeah. So today's bit is a bit more about nirvana.
Mm-hmm.
And so again, they say anything, thoughts or feelings that disturb the mind, that takes you away from happiness, closes your heart, um, is what is considered like a mental affliction. And that's what you won't experience in nirvana, in this, you know. And so the top six, there's a lot of mental afflictions, but just the top six are what they call ignorant desire, ignorant aversion. And so those two, they put the ignorant in is because it's kind of like saying you want something, but you want it because you think that thing will give you some happiness, some joy, right? Or you might avoid something, avoid someone, because you think that is the reason why you'll feel unhappy, um, and upset, right? So that seems to, I think those two can equate. It's almost like that's what we do as humans. We want things that going to make us happy, and we avoid things that we don't. But those are the top two. Ignorance in itself, just to see that things don't come from us. We think things come from out there. But the fourth, fifth, and sixth, pride, doubt, and wrong view. And wrong view is, um, saying that karma doesn't work, um, that there's no past and future lives. Those are two main wrong views that they say. So this school of Buddhism that we're studying, we're kind of the higher school, the Mahayana school, says that nirvana isn't where we want to. It's kind of like along the path. It's not where we want to aim for. The example I thought of that will help make it, it's kind of like, just say you're at the airport. Instead of walking all the way to downtown, which say Stanley Park is nirvana, to get to Buddhahood would be like Grouse Mountain. If you just aim to go to nirvana, to actually get to Grouse Mountain, you actually have to walk, start all the way back, like take the SkyTrain back to the airport, and then walk a path. There's no like, path from, even though there is, but there really is no from nirvana, right, to have to do that second trek. So they're saying don't aim for that as your endpoint, aim for Buddhahood, which requires you to want to reach it for all beings. But there is 4 types of nirvana, and it's funny, the more you'll hear about Buddhism, they actually, the first type of nirvana is not actually even a nirvana. It's called natural nirvana, but they want to include it because, you might read it somewhere, natural nirvana. Like, oh, okay, yeah, the place where there's no mental sensation, no mental afflictions.
Sorry, I
But
missed
actually,
a couple of words
it
because I
isn't. It's
like
actually
the.
just,
Sorry, yeah. I
it
missed
was a
like
bit
a.
staticky.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
okay,
were
okay.
talking about the first Nirvana.
Yeah, no, it might not be you. It might, yeah. The first nirvana is not
Yeah.
really a type of nirvana, but
Yeah.
it has the word nirvana in it. So it's called
Okay.
natural nirvana. You might read it in some scriptures, and it just means emptiness. It's another way of saying emptiness, but it doesn't mean
Okay.
where there's no mental afflictions. So just, yeah, know that. The second type of nirvana is nirvana with something left over. And that means some people will, again, this is a mental state. Like, for all intents and purposes, you could be in nirvana right now, or someone else could be, and I wouldn't know, because nirvana with something left over is that they still have a body. Um, so there are some examples they said of arhats, people who've reached nirvana who can still be killed. Um, the third type, nirvana with nothing left over, is where that they no longer have um, the seeds to have a body. So yeah, you wouldn't see them. Yeah. And then the fourth one is Buddhahood. That though the Buddhas have passed this state, they have the nerve. They don't have mental afflictions themselves. So that's the 4 types. So one thing they also wanted to introduce in this class is a term you might also hear a lot about in Buddhism called the 5 heaps. 5 heaps. And these are what they say humans are made of, according to Buddhism. And sometimes you'll hear the word skandhas. So the first type, or first heap, think of like a pile, they say is called form, and it just means physical form. So, you know, anything physical about us is under that category, right? The second kind of breakdown of a human, they will say, is called feeling, just feelings. And they just break that down into 3 types. It's good, bad, or neutral. And so that's kind of the same as with karma. You can either have good karma, bad karma, or if you feel like neutral, then it's neutral karma. But they say as long as we're humans, we have one of these 3 feelings at any time. The third type is, say, discrimination. And the description of it is it's a mental function that allows us to distinguish between things. So it's kind of like our ability to distinguish between good and bad, um, small and large, even something like 2 colors. It's just our ability to distinguish. And so these 2, feeling and discrimination, are what they call mental functions. And there's supposedly 44 of them. But these 2, they put separately, or they want to kind of include as the 5 heaps because they are the kind of the 2 causes of our suffering, feeling something and picking something is good or not good. That there is 42 other factors, mental functions, they say love or anger. So they just put this under the 4th category, other factors. And then the 5th heap that makes up supposedly a human is our consciousness. What they um, what is triggered by our 5 senses. That you touch something, you see something, or you smell something, or you taste something. That it obviously has to be processed in the head, and that's what they call the consciousness. So those are the 5 heaps that you might read about or hear about. Yeah. So one more thing to kind of go over, and then maybe I'll give you something fun last bit, but things needed to get to nirvana. So there's 3 things to reach nirvana, and supposedly all 3 you need. The description is kind of like the car engine. You need all the parts in there for the car to work. So the first is to be moral, act morally, and to have concentration. And this is where the last bit I'm going to go over the 10 most common misdeeds. So it's kind of like avoiding those misdeeds, doing the opposite, doing the good parts. And concentration is having the ability to have your mind focused on an object, that you choose and to hold it there. They say that is an important part to see the direct perception of emptiness. Like if our mind is so like scattered, we can't, even if we had all the virtue, all the good karma from helping others or doing, if your concentration isn't able to hold, then, it'll be really difficult to have that full direct perception of emptiness. So morality and concentration are what they call the first 2 trainings. Uh, So the first 2 in meditation is actually the 3rd course. I think it talks a lot more details about that. That's the 3rd course, next course I'll go over. And so those are part of the first thing you need. The second thing they say is training in wisdom. So that means you do need to see the direct perception of emptiness. So you need to have that experience of being in meditation for anywhere from 15 seconds to 30 minutes, where you really do see how your reality is created from yourself. So that is the training in wisdom. Seeing emptiness is considered a 3rd training. So the 3rd last item is that after you have this direct perception of emptiness, you got to get your mind used to that, because they say after you get that experience and you come out of it, you'll still see things and they'll still look like they come from, I look at my dog and it looks like, oh, the dog is separate from me. It isn't coming from me. So they say you won't believe that things come from itself, but you'll still see it that way. So you got to just kind of remind your mind. And that is where I think either last class or the class before I said it's part of the path. Out of the 5 steps in the path, that the direct perception was a 3rd path. Here it's a 3rd training also, but it's this one, habituating the mind, is the 4th step before you get to the last, no more learning. Right? So these are 3 things that you need to get to nirvana. So I think the final thing I was going to go over is not really part of the class, but it's kind of like the 10 misdeeds, and I didn't have time to grab my Bible, but my stepfather had, when we were young, made us like read 1 chapter of the Bible every day. We went through the Bible like twice, but I don't remember all 10 commandments. But they say, obviously in yoga, in Buddhism, that your actions, your thoughts have a result, right? So these are the 10 most common ones that, I'll give you an example. The first one is killing. That, the karma of that would be that you would go into one of the 3 lower realms, the hell, craving spirits, or an animal birth. That will be one of the results. But another could be that, and so this will depend on, the object, if you maybe, killed somebody who was emanating as a Buddha, yeah, that's a lot bigger, consequence. And so that's where they might go to the hell for that, but just say it was like a bug, you know, that they weren't even sure of, you know. So another result might be that you just have that habit. So for killing, it might just be someone who's done it, might in their next life have that propensity to want to do it. That's one of the habits. That's one of the results that they said is like you might just want to do it, or it could happen to yourself. And they're an expert that you're born as a human, but you're born as a soldier, and then you're killed yourself. So those are those three results can happen for any misdeed. That you go into one of the lower realms, have it happen to you, or you have that habit. But there's also what they say. These ones are not probably the ones are not going to be so obvious, you know. And so there's for killing two other corresponding results that you could have a short life, or you could always be sick in this current life. And then that they have one more is an environmental result, like, well, how about if you're born again as a human, but you will, and if you killed in your past life or previous lives, you might be born in a dangerous place. If you think about the world, yeah, there are some places right now you consider to be a dangerous place, right? So supposedly people born there might have killed in the past. So I think what I'm going to do is I had typed it all up, so I will kind of send it in the email because kind of reading it out might just, yeah, I think it's kind of interesting to, I had to memorize it, so I kind of was typing it out to see if what I remembered. Some of them I don't remember, but I'll just kind of mention all the misdeeds, and then yeah, we'll end the class here. But there is the opposite, that the opposite of killing, a good deed would be protecting life. So I'll kind of give both. So the second one would be protecting someone's belongings, whereas the misdeed would be stealing. Third one would be protecting other people's relationships, and the opposite is sexual misconduct. Fourth one would be telling the truth, and then the opposite, lying. Those ones I think most people might guess. The next one is to talk in a way that brings people together, as opposed to what they say, divisive speech. And that could include something like gossiping about other people, talking behind people's backs, you know, saying bad things to make them not like each other. Sixth one is a little bit different. That one would be saying kind words, loving words, as opposed to harsh words. You know, when I was angry, that would fit in that category. Harsh words. Seventh one is talking about important things, whereas the opposite is doing kind of just busy talk, is what they call it. Like, yeah, talking for the sake of just chatting. Then the eighth one is celebrating when people have things that they want, that they want, because the opposite is coveting, you know, that you want something that others people have. So, and the ninth one is, I would say, wishing people well is a good karma, the good one, because the opposite, the misdeed, would be wishing people ill will, you know, that you're someone you didn't like or someone did something mean to you, and then I know I've been guilty of that. I'm thinking, oh, I hope something bad happens to them, you know. And then the 10th common good karma would be having the right view, right worldview, they'll say, like believing that karma and emptiness, that there are past and future lives. Because, yeah, the opposite is having the wrong view, you know, that you don't believe karma and emptiness, and you don't believe that there's past lives. I believe nothing or things exist the way they are. So that's another example. So yeah, with these ones, there are kind of like two corresponding results you'll see in the chart, and then an environmental result, which is usually about where they live. And you'll see it's a little bit, they talk about crops because I think, maybe when this was uh, written down, a lot of people were farming. Mhm. So, but I will leave with that, and maybe we can just kind of do the dedication to end class. So here, dedication, um, the title says dedication to the goodness of a deed. So think of, the good karma that you've accrued from spending the time when you could be doing a gazillion other things, that you're spending time and learning about this. You're dedicating it towards your enlightenment. So, and not just having it um, result in some good karma for yourself, but you're actually putting it aside, like almost like putting into your retirement savings for towards your enlightenment. So it's just 3 lines. By the goodness of what I've just done, may all beings complete the collection of merit and wisdom, and thus gain the 2 ultimate bodies that merit and wisdom make. Right. So 3 little illustration. Body, connecting body, speech, and mind. Thank you all for listening to this. Thank you, Alice, for coming in.
Thank you.
Yeah, if you had any questions, do ask. I was just gonna just make sure, next Saturday I'm in the retreat just for Saturday, Sunday, so we won't have class next weekend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Sounds
the
good.
following one I will, yeah, but this one was like a silent retreat somewhere in Surrey, and so yeah, I shouldn't,
Oh, nice.
even though I think I might kind of, So, mhm.
Okay.
uh, one thing, I think, Alice, did I send you the link to the meditation on Monday evenings? I mean, I know you're at home now.
No.
Um, what I'll do is kind of send you, like, my teacher does a meditation on Zoom on Monday nights from 7 to 8:15. He
Okay.
records them and he's put them in a library. And so I thought I'd kind of send you a link to that. I think you can access it. I don't think he's put a block on it, but you could listen to one or listen to part of it. And
Okay.
even though it sounds like it's a long meditation, it's not. He does a talk, and then he does, depending on who's there, might make it a shorter or longer meditation or 2. But anyway, he does that. It's isn't it $20? I think there is a donation, so you could just listen to the
Oh,
recordings.
okay.
But if you wanted to, you can, if you're interested, then join in on the Zoom
Yeah.
meditation. He's doing it. He's back from holiday, so he's starting it up this Monday.
Okay.
And yeah, it's something that.
I don't think I can do on Monday
Oh,
because
okay.
I'm actually doing like a Spanish course on
Oh, okay,
Monday
okay.
night.
Yeah.
But if there are the recordings, yeah, I will
Yeah,
probably
exactly. Yeah, that would
listen
be a
to it.
nice.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, wonderful. I'll send you that. And then, yeah,
Yeah.
if your course ends or, some Monday you don't have a class, you can definitely
Yeah.
join too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right now I'm just like living day by day because I can't plan anything.
I know, I can imagine. So, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
um, yeah. Congratulations for just hanging in there and doing
Yeah,
day by day.
thanks.
And yeah, hopefully some of the teachings will kind of keep you going.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you
Okay.
so much,
Thank you so
Alice.
much.
I will, yeah, send
Thank you.
you send that recording and see you hopefully in 2 weeks, or send you a recording in 2 weeks.
Okay, sounds good.
All right.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.